Good morning. I decided to instruct my practice this morning. I'm going to be using 2 blocks and a blanket. If you don't have blocks or a blanket, I'll give options verbally to modify and adjust that. But I'm not doing deep forward bends at the moment, or not doing mini deep forward bends at the moment. So I'm using blocks to remind myself to back off of things, which is another use for blocks. So sometimes you're told to use blocks because you're tight, and that they make it easier if you're tight. They bring the floor closer to you. You think of blocks as a floor extension. But another good use for blocks is if you are really mobile and for some reason you should be backing off of that mobility, which is why I am going to be using blocks today. The blanket will be for some knee padding and for sitting. Again, if your hips tend to tuck under while sitting, a blanket could be very nice to just tilt your hips a little bit to make forward folding more comfortable and to help protect the low back. So both of these options help protect the low back, which can be really sweet during a practice. So if you would like to join with me, go ahead, soften or close your eyes and just turn inside. And we're going to start actually with 3 breaths just to exhale everything out. So if you'd like to join with these, go ahead, take a deep, full breath in, exhaling out. Deep, full breath in, exhale out. Deep, full breath in, exhale out. And then close your lips. And either coming into a natural breath, or if you'd like to try Ujjayi breathing, you can do that. Ujjayi breathing is breathing with a constriction of the throat, very similar to the constriction we just used to make the ha sound. So you can almost imagine you're keeping on making that ha sound on the exhales as well as the inhales. On the inhales, you also might want to think about as if you're sipping up through a straw. And Ujjayi sounds like the wind or the ocean. And this audible component of the breath gives you another way to focus on it. So turning to your breath, focusing on your breath, whether or not you're doing Ujjayi. Feeling the breath moving through the nostrils, down the windpipe, and inflating the lungs up, and then letting the lungs soften back down and in. And just feeling these sensations in the body and listening to the breath. Throughout class, I invite you to cultivate a deep awareness with your breath and with yourself. So notice how you feel, and feel free to adapt this practice to make it your own. So I will give instructions. Sometimes I might even give a lot of instructions, but always take the instructions as an invitation, not a command. And feel free to make the practice your own and to adapt it in ways that work for you. I'm going to start with an Om. Om is considered the sound the universe makes. Feel free to join in with me if you'd like. Hands can come together in front of the heart. Exhale. Inhale. Om. Take a deep, full breath in. And then exhale, releasing your hands. Softly open your eyes and transition to all fours on the mat, coming to your hands and knees. And feel free here to take, if you do have a blanket, or it could be a pillow. So pillows actually really work well as yoga blankets in a lot of situations. You can bring the blanket underneath your knees for some extra cushion. Hands, lines of the wrist can be parallel with the front edge of the mat, fingers opening, weight shifted towards the front of the hand. So almost pretending as though you're going to lift your wrists up. Then from here, inhale and stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, rounding the back, looking at the navel. Inhale, arch the back, head and tailbone up to the sky. And just moving back and forth to the flow of your breath. Connecting this movement to the flow of the breath. Notice how you feel while moving. Notice how your back feels, how your shoulders feel, how your hips feel. Notice what you're doing, rounding and arching the back, shoulders moving on and off the back, hips and head tilting under and up, inner thigh muscles moving forward and back. So with your next inhale, go ahead and stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, let the shoulders move towards each other on the back, arm bones sliding a little deeper in the shoulder socket. And then with that nice long spine, curl the toes under, lift the knees up, press the hips up, back away from you, downward facing dog. You can move padding over to the side for a moment, bending one knee, straightening the opposite leg, and then switching sides. So just gently letting the hips move a little side to side. Noticing how the back of the legs feel. And then when you're ready, you can lift your hips up high and walk the feet towards the hands or hands towards the feet. Once the weight's in your feet, go ahead and bring your hands up to your legs, up high enough that you can stretch the spine nice and long out of the hips, coming into spinal extension. I'm going to stay here a lot for today. So if you have back issues, rounding, you might not want to do so much. I'll use blocks. But again, you don't have to have blocks. You can lengthen the spine using your hands on the legs, or even just float the hands. Wherever you're at, just feel that spine extending out of the hips. But if you want to fold in, go ahead. Fold in, hands can come lower to the legs or to the floor. And then inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, hold that nice long spine, press down through the feet, come all the way up to standing. And if you need to, just make your way to the front of the mat. Then take a moment here. Look down at your knees, look down at your feet. Open your feet a comfortable width distance apart. Line your feet up with each other. Knees facing generally forward. Maybe second, third toes face forward too. Wiggle your toes. And then with your next inhale, lift all 10 toes out. Feel the arches of the feet waking up with the toes. Spreading the toes nice and wide apart. Keep your arches lifting, but lowering the toes down to the ground, connecting the toes into the ground as you feel the lightness, the lift through the arches. Tell the top of the leg bone back over your heels, the back of your feet. Shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders, hands together in front of the heart. Shoulders gently move towards each other on the back. Root down from the hips into the earth, but let your knee joint be a little soft. And then when you're ready, coming into that flow of the breath, connecting. And then exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, move from your shoulders, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms back to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Left hand can grab right wrist. Exhale, leaning over to your left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Knees as wide apart as your feet. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana, hold. Now shift the weight back further, bringing the spine more parallel to the ground, but lengthening the spine out of the hips. Ardha Utkatasana, breathing here. And then shift your hips up to the sky, the tailbone, the back of your hips. Act like you're going to reach for the ground way out in front of you, a variation on an Uttanasana. And then keeping some of that length you've cultivated. Your legs can be bent or straight. A little bend in the knee can be helpful to protect the low back. But when you're ready, exhale, fold in, hands to blocks, legs, or floor. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, hold. And then with that nice long spine, come all the way up to standing. And you might notice I'm not really rounding my back at all, again, to protect it, to keep it safe. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Connect from the hips down into the earth. Breathe. When you do a forward fold, think of your hips moving and your spine staying long until near the end. And if, like me, you're having low back stuff, you can avoid rounding the back at all. But if it feels okay, you can round the back a little bit, that's fine too. When you're ready, exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, long spine, folding forward, hands to blocks, legs or floor. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, long spine, arms reach wide all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Connect from the feet down into the earth. And then from here, exhale, release the hands. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. If you need a little bit of support to step a foot back, you can bring your hands to your knees, your right knee. Or if you're feeling pretty stable, hands together in front of the heart, shift the weight into your right foot. Left foot goes way back or back. It doesn't have to go way back. Bring your hands to your right knee. Stack the right knee right on top of the ankle. Point it towards your second or third toe. And just level out the hips here. And with your next inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. And then exhale, you can fold forward. You can lower down to your elbows. You can bring your hands to the blocks or to the floor. If you're bringing the hands to the floor, also remember, you can bring both hands to the inside of the foot, or you can bring the hands to the either side of the front foot, whichever feels, again, better for your body. And then here, pressing down through the feet into the earth, hugging from your feet in toward your hips, and then lengthening, expanding the spine out of the hips. Breathe. Connecting from the feet down into the earth. When you're ready, you can walk your right hand up to your knee, left hand up to your knee if you're on the ground, and then pressing strongly into that right foot, step the left foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, Utkatasana, shift the weight into your left foot. Right foot goes back. Left knee right on top of the ankle. Hands to that left knee, leveling out your hips, stretching the spine nice and long out of the hips. Feeling the legs, feet rooted down. And then when you're ready, again, if you want to, you can fold in. You don't have to. And if you want to, you can fold into blocks, floor, finding what works for you, breathing wherever you're at. And making your way back up to that left knee, press down to that foot, step the right foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Connect from the hips down into the earth. Feel the breath moving through you. Then exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, open up to the side, coming into what's called a goddess squat a lot of times, or a horse stance. Toes are turned out slightly out, but only as much as knees are, because you're really turning out from your hips. Moving a little side to side here. And then from here, we'll go ahead and we'll turn the left toes so they face forward, and feel free to adjust your feet. Right toes so they turn out. Track right knee towards second or third toe. Bend the right knee right on top of the ankle. Parsvakonasana. Gently pressing or rooting both legs back a little bit. Stretch your spine long, and then if you want to, if it feels good for your hips, line your torso up in line with the hips, stretching the spine out of the hips. Again, you can keep your elbow on the leg. You can lower the hand to a block or a floor. You can keep the left arm along the side if that feels better for your shoulder, or you can lift it up toward the sky or stretch the left arm alongside by the ear. Breathing here. Nice full deep breaths. pressing down through the feet. Keep the legs in this general position, rising up through the torso. And then press strongly into that right foot. Step the left foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart. Shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release. Inhale, bend your knees. Exhale, step the right foot open. And then again, just kind of moving and playing here. And then setting the feet up for Parsvakonasana. So the right toes will either face forward or turn toward the left toes. And the left toes will turn and face all the way to the front of the room. You might adjust the width of the stance if you like a better, different width. And then from here, left knee on top of the ankle, left elbow to the left leg. Leaning inside the legs a little bit, rooting the thighs back. Be careful not to lock the right knee. Spine long, and then leaning your whole torso back in line with the legs. Feel free to stay here. Feel free to lower the left hand down. Feel free to change where the right arm is. Breathe, nice full deep breaths. And just make sure your neck has room to move, that the shoulders aren't creeping up, that the shoulders are gently moving toward each other on the back. And then keeping the legs nice and steady, press down to the feet, rise up through the torso, look over the left fingers, and then pressing strongly into that left foot, right foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees deeply. Make your way back to downward facing dog. So again, the blocks are like the floor. So if you don't have blocks, you would bring the hands to the floor and walk the feet back. Pressing the hips back away from you, go ahead and bend and straighten the legs a little bit here. Again, if you want to. Trying to come to a place where you can extend long through the spine as opposed to letting the back round a lot. And then exhale, lower down to all fours. Come to your hands and knees. And from here, we're going to inhale, slide our hips forward, shoulders back. And then exhale, hips back towards the heels. Inhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Exhale, hips back towards heels. Now only go in both directions as much as feels good for your low back, your knees, your hips, or any part of your body that might tell you that maybe you need to go a little bit not so far. So you can make this a much smaller movement. Or you can go larger, just depending on how your body feels. So the next time you're forward though and shoulders are back, bend the elbows, lower all the way down to the ground. Wiggle your hips a little side to side. Maybe use that to walk the hips back if you want to adjust where you are on your mat. Then press your hips down strongly. Act like you're going to drag the hands back a little bit. And inhale, lift the right leg up with the knee face down. Stretch back through that leg. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, left leg lifts. Stretch back through that leg. Exhale, lower back down. Bring the arms along the sides. Feel the shoulders gently lifting and then rooting down through the hips. Inhale, lift up through the chest and shoulders. If that feels good for you, exhale, lower down. Maybe just lifting up through the shoulders if lifting up through the chest bothers you. Inhale, lift up through the shoulders. Maybe chest too. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. Holding the lifted position if that feels good for you. Feeling the shoulders gently moving toward each other on the back. You can flip the hands so they're facing back forward. And again, just act like you're going to drag them back a little bit for a little traction in the low back. Breathing here. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, up to all fours. Exhale, back to a downward facing dog. Bending and straightening the legs again, if that feels good for you. Breathe. And then coming back to center, hips high. You can walk the feet towards the hands, hands towards the feet, step or jump if that's in your wheelhouse. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees deeply, hands to the ground or blocks. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shoulders forward over, wrist plank pose. Keep your core engaged, keep your hips pretty high. Exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward into a plank pose, really hugging those low ribs in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Ribs still hug in, but hips tilt a little to the sky. Inhale, forward to a plank pose, holding plank pose. Exhale, feel the arm bones sliding deeper into the shoulder socket, shoulder blades on the back. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back. Inhale, shoulder blades off the back, a little hill between the shoulder blades. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back, a little valley between the shoulder blades. Then go ahead, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up high, walk, step, jump the feet forward towards the hands. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold, bend the knees deeply, make your way back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to the plank pose. Feel the core engage, feel the shoulders on the back, and then baby up dog. So what we're gonna do is not let the hips drop a lot, but just a little bit. Pull your chest forward through the shoulders and pull the shoulders back a little bit. And then inhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Breathing in downward facing dog, nice full deep breaths. Go ahead, lift your hips high and walk the feet towards the hands or step or jump. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold, bend the knees back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, back to plank pose, shoulders on the back. You can do that high up dog, or if you want to, you can let the hips drop a little bit more. Shoulders still moving back, chest still leading the way, lifting up. I like to sway a little bit in up dog, honestly, so that's what I'm doing. And then lifting the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Breathe, nice full deep breaths. And then looking forward. Actually, I don't even really look forward. Just lifting the hips high, walking the feet towards the hands. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, long spine all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Connect from the hips down into the earth. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Go ahead, shift the weight into your right foot, opening up, playing around here a bit. And then we'll come into Trikonasana. So leg position is the same as Parsvakonasana. The left toes will face forward or turn in a little bit. Right toes turn out. I'm widening my feet a little bit wider apart. Then inhale, hands to a T. Leaning into that right hip, keeping the right leg fairly straight, but not jamming the knee backwards. And if you need to bend the knee more, feel free. Hand again can come to a block. Left hand, I'm going to bring it forward. Move that left arm bone into the shoulder socket and then lift the arm up. So instead of letting the elbow pop forward or the shoulder pop forward, I'm engaging that and then lifting the arm up. Breathing here. Nice full deep breaths. Pressing down to the feet, hugging into your hips, lengthening out through the spine. And then staying steady, staying firm through the feet, rising up through the torso. Right knee tracks towards second or third toe, bend that knee, and then stepping the left foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart. Breathe. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, opening second side, turning out through the hips a little bit, moving a little bit here. And then coming back to center. Right toes face forward, left toes face out, adjusting where my feet are. A lot of times, left heel cuts in half the right arch of the foot is a nice stance. And then from here, inhale, hands to a T. And then exhale, leaning into that left hip. Again, hand to leg. So leg is always an option if you don't have a block or floor. And then right arm, right shoulder on the back, reach the arm up, breathing here. Nice full deep breath. of your feet, rise up through the torso. Left knee tracks towards second or third toe, bending that knee. Step the right foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees deeply, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into a plank. Exhale, bend the elbows a little bit to help with that. Moving the shoulders back, up dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. Making your way into a child's pose. Breathe. To sitting, just with the legs forward out in front of you. And again, if you have a pillow or a blanket, that could help to let your hips tilt a little bit and put yourself in a nice position for a forward fold. The thing you do have to be careful of if you're sitting on a blanket is you can hyperextend the knees, you can lock the knees back. So you firm up the legs, you press strongly through the heels, and you feel the calf muscles engaging a little bit. So that helps to protect your knees from bending backwards. From here, just try to sit up nice and tall, lifting the spine up out of the hips. So if that's not working for you, you can sit up higher and keep the legs straight, or go ahead and just bend the knees a little bit more so you can sit up nice and tall here. Hands, fingertips to the ground, lengthening the spine out of the hips, Dandasana. Then from here, we'll bring the hands a little further forward and try to tilt your hips. So trying not to round the back too much here, but trying to get the movement from the hips. And then tilting those hips forward, folding. You can bring your hands to just someplace comfortable. Inhale and lengthen the spine. I'm still staying in extension, so I'm not going to round my back and fold. But if that feels good for you and you want to, you can go ahead and round the back and fold. And then go ahead, come back up. And just come into a comfortable sitting position. So whatever's comfortable for you, that you can lift the spine up out of the hips, sit up nice and tall. Soften or close your eyes and breathe. So just a short, sweet practice. We will end with an Om. If you'd like to join in, hands together in front of the heart. Exhaling. Inhale.